Why do you dislike Trump so much? Let me ask that.
Yeah, I have so many reasons. Would you like a single sentence,
The
a
the biggest one,
paragraph?
the biggest point, I would say.
So you want like my largest and longest explanation insofar as why I don't like Trump?
Yeah, sure.
Are you positive? It could take a minute.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. I have time.
Okay. Well, I don't like Trump. I typically break it down into three categories. You have character, you have domestic policy, and you have foreign policy. So we're going to start off with that first category. That's going to be character. His character is absolutely abysmal. First and foremost, he's an adjudicated rapist. The civil court determined that he's guilty of raping E. Jean Carroll in 2023. Second of all, he's a 34 count felon. He was found guilty of 34 felonies for sending hush money to a porn star that he slept with, cheated on his wife with prior to the 2016 election, and then misclassified them as business expenses. So 34 count felon, adjudicated rapist. Not to mention, he's also like pretty racist. He told people to essentially not vote for Obama because Obama's black by saying that he's born in Africa with no reason, even though Obama has a birth certificate from Hawaii. He also called for the death penalty for the exonerated Central Park Five years after they were exonerated. And then in the 90s, he called all black people lazy in 92, then reaffirmed that something that he said in 97. On top of that, he's also incredibly misogynistic. I mean, he's made weird comments about how you could just grab a woman by the P word without asking first. He boasted about perving on the naked bodies of teenage girls and grown adult women at Miss Teen USA and Miss USA, as well as he said the best thing that could ever happen to a woman is pregnancy. He's sexualized his own daughter, saying he'd date her if he wasn't his daughter. Apparently, on the Howard Stern podcast, he made his daughter a promise when she was 17, saying that he would never date anybody younger than her, implying that he would date a 17-year-old when he was 40, as well as he sexualized a 10-year-old girl. In 1995, he was caught on a hot mic on an escalator telling a 10-year-old girl that he'd be dating her in 10 years. Not to mention all of his involvement with Epstein. I mean, he was best buddies from Epstein when Epstein was bringing children to his billionaire island and sexually abusing them. Epstein would even tell his victims that he was best friends with Donald Trump, and he had a framed picture of the two together on his desk. Not to mention that in 2003, Donald Trump sent Epstein a letter depicting the body of a naked woman, or in my mind, a girl, with a statement, "May every new day be another wonderful secret." And that's just the beginning about his character. He's a chronic liar. In his first term, he told over 30,000 lies. He's told the largest lie that any sitting president has ever told when he denied the outcome of the 2020 election and convinced 72% of all Republicans in the country to also deny it, instilling virtues of distrust in our civil electoral processes. He's also a raging narcissist. Once again, he baby raged to in 2020 when he lost the election, to the point that he literally tried to rig and steal it back. Third of all, he's just an egotistical power maniac. He doesn't care about any check nor balance. That's why he called for the termination of the Constitution in December of 2022. That's why he's been firing and replacing judges with no experience to further his agenda. And that's why he's explicitly violated the Constitution like 7 times in the last 250 days in office, ranging from attempting to take our 14th Amendment rights from us with Executive Order number 14160, calling for a termination of the 22nd Amendment when he said he wanted to run for a third term, or violating the First Amendment 3 weeks ago when he tried to ban burning of the American flag, even though the Supreme Court ruled that was expressly protected under the First Amendment in 1989. Now, those are some facts about his character. Of course, there's more. Let's go ahead and move on to domestic policy. His domestic policy is just absolutely atrocious. We'll start off with economic policy. So in July of this year, he passed a $4.5 trillion bill, the largest spending bill ever passed in the American Congress, by the way. So say goodbye to conservatism in relation to our nation's spending or debt. And this $4.5 trillion bill literally redirects and takes money from the poor and gives it to the rich. According to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, 51% of income earners in this country are going to be losing money because of the cuts to Medicaid, kicking 10 million people off, the cuts to food stamps, kicking 3 million people off, the cuts to the DOE, kicking 400,000 school children off of free school student lunches and free school student breakfasts, just to further fund tax cuts for the ultra wealthy. Now, in America, if you make over $1 million per year, you're going to be getting an additional 4% back per year. And that's just his economic policy. He has other very terrible domestic policy, ranging from directing SCOTUS to overturn Roe v. Wade, which has now led to the consequence of 60 pregnant great victims per day being denied access to abortion in 10 of our states, or 66 million American women in all 50 states having their human rights infringed upon, as well as we have other terrible domestic policy, like renaming the Department of Defense to the Department of War, then declaring war on American citizens in Chicago and American citizens in DC. But of course, he doesn't care about violent crime as he suggests he does, which is the reason he says he's doing this, because he pardoned 72 violent offenders that tried to beat up and kill cops on January 6th at our country's capital, such as DJ Rodriguez, who gave Officer Fanone a goddamn heart attack by driving a stun gun into his neck. Donald Trump let him out 8 years early and gave him a full and complete presidential pardon. Not to mention his terrible immigration policy, you know, the mass deportation. He wants to remove every single undocumented immigrant from this country. That's going to destroy us. According to the American Immigration Council, if we do that, our GDP will fall by a projected $1.1 through $1.7 trillion per year, which is going to destabilize American industries. It's going to increase joblessness claims. It's going to slow GDP growth. It's going to increase poverty, increase crime. Everybody's fucked. We're all fucked. Not to mention, it costs $2 trillion to do it in the next 10 years because we'd be removing 8.3 million of our workers and 11 million of our consumers that pay close to $100 billion per year in taxes. And so there's a little bit about his domestic policy. That his foreign policy is even worse. I mean, he's just bending the knee to Israel. He's saying, oh, what do you need from us so you could continue to genocide more innocent Palestinians? Or, I don't know, he's signing very terrible agreements with the Congo just to exploit them for more of their minerals, so on and so forth, while not ending their conflict with the Rwandan M23 insurgents, but claiming he did. Or imposing tariffs on every single one of our allies, which has now led 23 countries globally to stop all parcel shipments into this country, and is now leading to an increase in power held by other countries like China, Russia, and so on. So we'll stop there. That was about 10 minutes.